Imagine a narrow stretch of sea, barely wider than Lake Constance is long, controlling a decisive share of the global economy. Between Iran to the north and Oman to the south lies the Strait of Hormuz. At its narrowest point, just about 54 kilometers wide. And yet, around 20 million barrels of crude oil pass through here every day, along with a significant share of the world's traded liquefied natural gas. In total, roughly 1/5 of global energy trade flows through one of the most sensitive choke points on Earth. This waterway is no abstract symbol. It is live geopolitical reality. Even minor incidents can have global consequences: rising oil prices, delayed supply chains, higher transport and insurance costs. And yet, if one sets aside the political tension for a moment, a very different side of this region reveals itself. The Strait of Hormuz is embedded in a breathtaking natural landscape of jagged coastlines, arid deserts, and extraordinary marine ecosystems. Here, warm currents meet nutrient-rich waters, a habitat for dolphins, sea turtles, and rare fish species. For thousands of years, this region has also been a crossroads of trade, culture, and civilization. The Strait of Hormuz is therefore far more than a geopolitical flashpoint. It is a place where nature, history, and global power interests converge in the smallest of spaces. If you enjoy documentaries like this one, a subscription costs nothing and helps us enormously. But now, let us dive into this fascinating world. The Strait of Hormuz connects the Persian Gulf with the Gulf of Oman and, beyond it, with the Indian Ocean. It lies between Iran to the north and the Arabian Peninsula to the south, with the southern part of the passage belonging to the Sultanate of Oman. The strait is between 54 and 60 kilometers wide at its narrowest point. The actual navigable corridor, however, is far narrower. 2 separate lanes, each just 3 nautical miles wide, separated by a buffer zone. It is a maritime needle's eye, technically precise and yet traversed daily by hundreds of large tankers. Administratively, the area belongs to no single state. Iran claims the northern side. Oman, with its exclave of Musandam, controls the southern coastline. The shipping lanes run predominantly through Omani and Iranian territorial waters, a circumstance of considerable geopolitical significance, as we shall see. The average water depth ranges from 60 to 100 meters, deep enough for fully laden supertankers, but leaving little margin for error. How did this strait come to exist at all? The answer lies millions of years in the past in the forces of plate tectonics. The Arabian Plate moves slowly but relentlessly toward the Eurasian Plate at a rate of roughly 2 to 3 centimeters per year. This collision folded the Zagros Mountains in Iran and, over geological epochs, shaped the coastal geography of the Persian Gulf. Around 15,000 years ago, at the end of the last ice age, the Persian Gulf was largely dry, a fertile plain possibly inhabited by early humans. rising sea levels flooded this region and created the geography we know today, including the Strait of Hormuz. Particularly spectacular is the Musandam Peninsula of Oman, an exclave that forms the heart of the southern shoreline. Here, rugged limestone cliffs plunge directly into the deep blue sea. Fjord-like inlets, known as khors, cut through the coastline. Geologists describe this area as one of the most geologically interesting, active tectonic zones in the region. The subsoil conceals yet another secret: enormous salt diapirs, rising salt from ancient marine deposits that pierces through rock layers and leaves colorful mineral formations at the surface. The island of Hormuz, situated in the middle of the strait, is famous for its multicolored landscape of red ochre, yellow sulfur, and white salt. Anyone who knows Hormuz only as an oil route is missing the real story. The Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman are among the biologically richest marine environments in the world, despite their extreme conditions. Water temperatures in the Persian Gulf reach up to 35 degrees Celsius in summer, almost too warm for coral reefs. And yet, corals exist here that have adapted to this heat, making them a sought-after subject of research for scientists worldwide. They may hold clues as to how coral reefs elsewhere might adapt in an increasingly warming world. Dugongs, the Asian relatives of the manatee, graze in the seagrass meadows along the coast. The Persian Gulf is home to one of the most important dugong populations in Asia. Joining them are sea turtles, including the loggerhead turtle, which nests on the beaches of Oman's Musandam coast. The mangrove coasts of Oman and the United Arab Emirates serve as nurseries for countless fish species. They filter the water, protect the coastline from erosion, and provide resting places for migratory birds on their journey from Africa to Central Asia. Flamingos, cormorants, and herons, in one of the oil-richest regions in the world, which at first glance seems paradoxical. The phenomenon of bioluminescence has also been documented in the Strait of Hormuz, plankton that bathes the water in blue light at night. Fishermen have reported glowing waves for generations, a natural spectacle that science has only been able to fully explain in recent decades. In the middle of the strait lies the island of Hormuz, formerly known as Hormuz, and it was once one of the most important trading centers in the world. In the 16th century, the Portuguese under Afonso de Albuquerque seized this island, and with it control over the entire spice trade between Asia and Europe. The castle they left behind still stands today, the Forte de Nossa Senhora da Conceição, a massive fortress built from the island's red iron ore, which can now be visited as an open-air museum. The island's vivid geology, red, yellow, and white soils of iron, sulfur, and salt, has earned it the nickname Rainbow Island. The mineral-rich terrain shapes not only the landscape, but also the local culture. On the island of Hormuz, rugged hills, salt-encrusted plains, and colorful valleys form a landscape that seems almost surreal. Small settlements cling to the coastline, while fishing boats rock in the shallow water, setting the rhythm of daily life. A quiet contrast to the island's former significance as a global trading hub. The geological past can be read in the island's rock strata and salt formations, an archive of minerals and sediments grown over millions of years. This natural diversity makes Hormuz not only a geological curiosity, but also a place where natural history and human use overlap in an unusual way. No other point on the map concentrates more energy flow than the Strait of Hormuz. Around 17 to 21 million barrels of crude oil pass through here every day. Estimates vary depending on source and time frame. At peak levels, this amounts to approximately 20 to 21% of global oil trade and around 18% of worldwide liquefied natural gas trade. The most important exporters on the northern side are Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, and the United Arab Emirates. The buyers sit primarily in Asia. China, Japan, India, and South Korea source a significant portion of their energy needs through this strait. Add to this liquefied natural gas, or LNG. Qatar, one of the world's largest LNG exporters, also routes its gas tankers through Hormuz. These vessels, known as LNG carriers, are among the largest ships in the world and are a familiar sight in the strait. There are pipeline projects and alternative routes designed to reduce dependence on Hormuz, such as the Habshan to Fujairah pipeline of the United Arab Emirates, which leads directly to the Indian Ocean, or the East-West pipeline in Saudi Arabia. But none of these alternative routes can come close to replacing the capacity of the strait. Hormuz remains irreplaceable. No view of Hormuz is complete without its political dimension. The strait lies between Iran on one side and Oman, along with the Arab Gulf states on the other. And it is precisely this location that makes it one of the most sensitive geopolitical points on Earth. Iran has repeatedly threatened to close the strait in the past, using it as leverage in conflicts with the United States and its partners. Under international law, Hormuz is classified as an international strait through which all states have a right of unimpeded passage, the so-called right of transit passage under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. Iran, however, has never ratified this convention, which further complicates the legal situation. In recent years, tensions have repeatedly escalated. Tankers have been seized, drones shot down, and military incidents have multiplied. The response has been an increased international naval presence. The United States maintains one of its most important bases in the region in Bahrain, supported by European states participating in missions to protect commercial shipping. At the same time, diplomatic efforts to stabilize the situation are ongoing. The rapprochement between Saudi Arabia and Iran in 2023, brokered by China, has opened new channels for dialogue. Oman too has played a central, often quiet role as mediator between the fronts for decades. Yet, the situation has recently become more fraught again. Domestic tensions in Iran, growing economic pressure from sanctions, and an increasingly confrontational foreign policy are raising uncertainty in the region. In such an environment, the risk increases that the Strait of Hormuz will be further politicized or even temporarily blocked, whether through direct measures or indirectly through military escalation. The consequences would be felt globally. Even the threat of a blockade can drive oil prices upward, unsettle markets, and put supply chains under pressure. An actual closure, even briefly, would have massive effects on the global economy, particularly for energy-dependent regions in Europe and Asia. It is a fragile equilibrium. None of the parties involved has a genuine interest in lasting escalation. The economic damage would be enormous for all of them, including Iran itself. Yet, the strategic importance of the strait makes it a permanent pressure point and a place where regional conflicts can transform into global crises at any moment. As much as Hormuz is known today as an oil route, the countries of the region are preparing for a time beyond it. The United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and Oman are investing heavily in tourism, renewable energy, and financial services. Dubai has long ceased to be an oil emirate. Oil's share of gross domestic product now stands below 3%. For the Strait of Hormuz itself, this opens new perspectives. The Musandam Peninsula of Oman is gradually developing into a diving destination of international standing. The underwater world of the strait, rays, sharks, dolphins, coral formations, is attracting growing numbers of eco-tourists. The island of Hormuz, too, with its spectacular geology and Portuguese heritage, is developing a modest tourism offering. Iranian artists and architects have realized remarkable projects on the island. Colorful murals on fishermen's houses, a rainbow house built from local earth. Hormuz as a cultural travel destination, a thought that would have been barely conceivable 2 decades ago. And yet the question remains, how much longer will Hormuz be the world's needle's eye? Hydrogen, LNG, renewable energy, the energy transition is reshaping trade flows over the long term. New undersea cables transmit electricity. New pipelines bypass the strait. But for the foreseeable future, decades, Hormuz will remain what it has always been, the world's narrowest lifeline. The Strait of Hormuz is more than a waterway. It is a mirror of our world, its dependencies, its conflicts, its beauty, and its history. 54 kilometers that can change everything. If you enjoyed this documentary, feel free to leave a comment. We look forward to hearing your thoughts on this topic. A subscription and a rating help us continue making productions like this one possible. Until next time, stay curious.